Well, my last video on picking up a bike, it's all well and good as long as things are going pretty good when you drop your bike, or at least as well as things can be going when you drop your bike. But let's say you're out in like a remote area of the Mojave Desert and you're all by yourself and you drop your bike down on the wrong side so you can't grab the brake, but it doesn't really matter because you dropped it into a hole. It's like a wrap out this deep, and even though you can kind of dig in it and reach under here, you really can't grab the frame, and it doesn't really matter because your body really doesn't bend that way. And on top of that, you got a bag full of tools on the downside that you can't really release on the account of all the releases are buried under the bike. So, what am I going to do if I do that again? Well, I heard some real good things about this MotoBike Jack, so I went ahead and ordered one. See how it's going to work in this, see if it'll solve this particular problem of mine. Guess that means it's time for another unboxing here. First thing I notice about it, I like this thing's small enough to fit in just about any bag I'm going to have. So that's a big plus one right off the bat for it. Okay, the parts are pretty straightforward, nothing special, nothing terribly complicated. And I suppose before I go any further I should actually sit down and read the directions for a change, just to make sure I do it right. Got my motor jack. Got my instructions. I'm actually going to use the instructions the first time I do this. Make sure I'm doing it right. Instructions for this thing are pretty straightforward and easy. Lots of nice big pictures on what you're supposed to have. Lots of nice big pictures on how you're supposed to do it. They even have a link to a video just in case that doesn't work for you. So let's get started. Now they give you a Velcro strap. They tell you to go ahead and use it to hold your brake lever in. That's a real good idea since my bike fell down on the wrong side, and that means that there's no way to hold the brake lever as I pick it up. Now just take the four remaining pieces, put them together. Nothing special, something you can do with your gloves on, nice and easy. Now you're all set to set it up. Okay, the instructions say go ahead and slide it underneath the bike and attach it to the frame or the foot peg on the other side. It'd take me a little bit of digging, but I could do that. Now the way this frame is right here, what I'd feel safest is doing is running it through underneath. And go ahead and grabbing it, bringing it up to the frame on the other side. Just dropping it to the frame right there. Now one thing you do want to watch that they didn't mention, make sure you don't put this strap on top of anything important, because it could get caught in there and it could damage something. One other thing they suggest, before you start lifting it, go ahead and put their bag between your seat and the strap. It'll help protect it. Once you got it there, regular ratchet strap. This first little bit, you're lifting quite a bit of weight. Now we got a little bit of tension on it. Just go ahead, just crank it up. Now this first little bit right here, you can definitely feel how heavy this bike is. Now at this point, it's come off this enough that if I wanted, I could just go ahead and pull that off, but I'm just going to go ahead and let it keep going. Now the further this bike comes up, the easier this gets. This is actually at the part already where I could probably get it underneath it and lift it up. Not quite at the point I can put the kickstand down yet. This is probably about as far as this jack is going to lift it, because it started to bind into the areas right here. But at this point where it's sitting, I can get this thing up the rest of the way. Okay, at the very end of that lift, you saw the thing starting to bind up a little bit. I did a little looking at it and figured out what it is the strap wasn't coming on directly straight. And that's something you can do with your hand, kind of guide it there. It was coming on crooked like this, but as it starts going on crooked, it starts to interfere with this gate on the side here. And if it gets crooked enough to the side, it'll start binding it up, and it won't always be locking as you go. Just keep it centered and you won't have any troubles at all with it. The only other thing I saw with this is the way this screw comes out a little bit. Kind of drags on the strap a little. Probably aren't going to use it enough for that to matter, but I think I might get me something to cut this off flush with the nut and maybe round it out a bit so it rides across a little smoother. Maybe that's just me being picky. I'm going to smooth that off a little bit, but do it without compromising the nut or the screw. Other than that, I got nothing to criticize on this. Works really good. I wish I'd had it with me last year when I was out in the Mojave, and I am definitely going to have it with me this year and next year. That's it for now. Catch y'all later.